There's a reason why they call sport an amalgamation of life. And on Saturday night at London's Olympic Stadium, we witnessed why. The greatest sprinter of all time, Usain Bolt, was denied a fairy tale finish as he lost a 100-meter final for the first time in his career in what was the final individual race of his life. Hello and welcome to this special presentation on World is One News. My name is Yash Jha. On Saturday night, Usain Bolt showed us he's human, but this is a tribute to a man who will forever be remembered as a champion. With us to honour the legacy of the Sprint King is a very special panel. Indian shooter Manavjeet Sandhu knows what it's like to be a world champion, and he witnessed the beginning of the Bolt story in person at the 2008 Olympics in Beijing. Analyst and India's premier sporting voice Novi Kapadia saw Bolt retain his Olympic gold in London 4 years later. He joins us from Mumbai. And in our studios here in Delhi, we have one of India's foremost track and field journalists, Mr. G. Rajaraman. Gentlemen, thank you for joining us for this special presentation. Novi, I will begin the conversation with you. For a decade, this has been a script of legends. And while nothing in the world can dampen that, on his final bow at the world stage, individual bow that is, Usain Bolt finally showed the world that he can be human too.
Yes, the fairy tale ending did not take place. I mean, in a way, I look at it, it's, the empire strikes back. I mean, the Americans who'd been eclipsed for the last 10 years since the 2008 Beijing Olympics, Justin Gatlin and the other American have come back, in full cry. What I felt Usain Bolt, he's always had a stuttering start. That's been nothing new. It was at the 60-meter mark that I got apprehensive because somehow the legs didn't have that power, that extra drive that he had. Because normally he would demolish the opposition because he had those long strides from the 70-meter mark to the 100-meter mark. That extra acceleration, that pumping drive was missing, and Justin Gatlin and all were, very dominant. And Usain Bolt, I think it is the end of an era. It's sad that it had to end with a bronze medal. Well, he can look forward to a gold medal in the 4 and 200 meters relay. But I personally feel he should have retired on a high at the end of the 2016 Rio Olympics. It happens with many sportsmen. I mean, as they say, you should retire when people ask why and not why not. There was that greed for one more world championship medal, and he's ended. I mean, full credit to Justin Gatlin, who was suspended for some years and, has made a great comeback.
Manavjeet Sandhu, you've been a world champion yourself, and this is a feeling that your teammate and one of India's greatest champions, Abhinav Bindra, experienced last year in his final bow at Rio when he narrowly missed out on a bronze medal. We've seen that sport doesn't always provide a fairy tale finish, but the legend always sustains.
Absolutely. It's almost impossible to even comprehend the kind of consistent success that Usain has had. It's just been incredible. And I do feel that possibly, like Novi said, that the right time to retire could have been after the Olympic Games in Rio. But nevertheless, he tried to give it all his best, I'm sure. And I think all of us have been witness to an era which is unlikely to be repeated very, very, very soon in the coming decades.
Mr. Rajaraman, you've been waiting patiently. I'll just ask you to wait for another minute. We should, as we look back at a career of greatness, also hear what the champion had to say himself after being defeated for once after such a long time. Here's what Usain Bolt had to say after that race on Saturday night.
It's hard to be sad with the crowd, you know what I mean, but I'm disappointed the way it ended, but I came out there, I did my best, so I can't really complain.
You're a winner no matter what.
Yeah, that's how I feel, you know what I mean. The crowd really came out and they really showed me a lot of support, and I really appreciate that. I really appreciate the energy they gave me.
Is there 1% of you that's tempted to carry on now?
No, no, this is it, you know what I mean. My body's telling me it's time, you know what I mean. My legs are hurting now. It's the first time I've ever done running and my legs are hurting, so it's time to go. So I think the energy that I got from the crowd really made me feel like I won, you know what I mean, and I think it was a great race overall to really end my career. I'm not pleased of what happened, but what can I do?
Surprisingly, you seem to enjoy this moment.
Of course, why wouldn't I enjoy this moment? This is it. this is it. This is the last of my championships, you know what I mean? So I have to enjoy it. The crowd made me enjoy it. They were shouting, they were giving me just unbearable energy. So what can I say? I'm really happy, and I really want to thank them for the support they gave me.
Spoken like a true champion. Gracious he had been in victory for this last decade, and gracious he was in defeat as well. Mr. Rajaraman, I'll come to you now. Farewells are always emotional affairs, and Bolt came into London carrying an added baggage. He'd lost his friend and Jamaican Olympic silver medalist in high jump, Jermaine Mason, in a road accident in April. Physically as well as mentally, this last race of his career was probably one of the toughest ones of his career.
I think in the first place, this was a fairy tale finish. You ask any of the athletes in the world, get a bronze medal, and the winner goes away from center stage and allows you to take center stage, get a victory lap like you won your 12th gold medal at the world stage. I don't think there could have been a more fairy tale finish than what Usain Bolt got. I think Usain is one of a kind, and for him to have come back 3 weeks of no training after losing a friend, and to have come back and run the way he's run, I think he's been a champion, and I don't think there can be any better moment than when Justin Gatlin bows before the world champion, bows before the erstwhile champion. I think it was fairy tale enough.
It's a champion who will definitely withstand the test of time, the test of records. He withstood all the tests that came up in his career. Manavjeet Sandhu, I will come to you as we try to broaden this conversation around the sensation that is Usain Bolt. Father Time is one of the strongest tests for any athlete. You know yourself, having competed at the highest level for so long, and to have withstood that test of time for so long in a discipline as taxing is perhaps the greatest testament to Usain Bolt.
Yeah, you know, it actually it's very easy to simply focus on his achievements, and it sort of course, that is the end result. But the work that goes behind the scenes to sustain yourself for 8 years at the highest level must have been something phenomenal. To prepare for such a physical event, the level of professionalism that he's brought to the sport, I think that is something as a sportsman I must admire. That how do you manage to not only win, but to do it in such a consistent, emphatic fashion. The kind of preparations, the kind of training that he must have gone through. His life for the last 8-10 years must have been, completely revolving around the sport. And that is the level of dedication you need if you want to sort of go down in the history books.
Novi Kapadia, you mentioned at the start of the show that it will pinch the fact that he couldn't cap it off in the most magnificent manner possible with a gold in that 100-meter final. But the greatest cricketer, when you look at history, is Don Bradman. And while he did miss out on 100, we know that Don Bradman is second to no one when you look back at cricket. Perhaps in the years to come, many decades later, Usain Bolt will be looked at with that same window now.
Yes, probably true. I mean, I agreed with what Rajaraman also said, that in a way, though he got a bronze medal, the felicitation that he got, and that the winner, Justin Gatlin, who had so much acrimony with him earlier, bowed to him. So he has ended on a high. But you know, what makes the legacy of Usain Bolt supreme is that he's the ordinary man who's an extraordinary athlete. There's no extraordinary special diet. He eats chicken McNuggets like many youngsters all over the world do. He enjoys football. He enjoys dancing. So, you know, that's what makes him a very special person. He's brought glamour to athletics. Athletics was a very serious sport. And after Carl Lewis, there's really been nobody glamorous. We had those great rivalries, Seb Coe and Steve Ovett, and earlier Herb Elliott, Peter Snell. But in the 21st century, he has made athletics into a glamour sport, brought in investment. It'll be very tough to replace him. You know, I was lucky I was there in 2012 London Olympics, and we talked to him after that race. So we just asked him that, what did you were talking to Johan Blake, as you all said, Blake was the favorite. Nothing, we were talking about cricket and the girls that we saw. You know, he's a very normal human being. That is what makes him very special. He doesn't get into a zone, but he's a great athlete. His practice, he's diligent in that, but otherwise lives a very normal life.
Mr. Rajaraman, I'll direct that question to you. You are someone who's covered track and field sports for many a year. Do you think this is heralding of a new era, and perhaps in that regard very fitting that you saw a youngster Pip Bolt in his final race.
He also beat him in the semi-final. So I think it's important that someone young could come in and take over the baton, like you pointed out. It's good for sport. It's good for athletics that you have a new hero who's coming up who's only 21. But I think the International Federation is looking at someone like Wade van Niekerk of South Africa, who might win the 200-400 double, make him a superstar, because the sport needs superstars. It has got competition from football and basketball and Formula One. I think the sport is looking at making new heroes. So that way, Campbell comes in as a possible new hero for the sport. Very important.
Right. So let's look at it from an overall sporting perspective now. There is no denying that Usain Bolt will go down as the greatest athlete of all time until the time someone comes and does something truly spectacular. But I want to open this debate to all three of you gentlemen, to where you rank him in this generation. It has been a generation that has been blessed to witness some absolutely phenomenal superstars in Michael Phelps and Roger Federer. Manavjit Sandhu, if I could come to you, where would you rank Usain Bolt among the contemporary greats of the world of sport?
So it's really, it's the top few sportsmen in the world are so close together, it becomes a matter of personal perspective. I do feel that as he's probably outright the greatest Olympian ever. I don't see another Olympic sport having the same sort of achievements that he has, even with notwithstanding Michael Phelps' 28 medals. I'd still rank him as the #1 Olympian. The #1 sportsman of all time is a question where he's definitely in the top 2, 3, 4. But then we have Pele, we have non-Olympic sports like Muhammad Ali in boxing. So that is a personal point, and I'm not willing to stick my neck out on that. And as far as now we have Federer right there. So Federer, Muhammad Ali, Pele, and Usain are all there bunched up together. But definitely the greatest Olympian of all time is him at the moment.
Novi Kapadia, you've been part of prior debates on WION where we've tried to dissect this debate, which is so difficult to dissect. So, but sadly, we're going to pose that question again to you. If you look at all time, the debate becomes a little difficult to comprehend. So let's keep it to modern day superstars. You've seen Michael Phelps, you've seen Usain Bolt, you've seen Roger Federer, you've seen Serena Williams, all compete in the same time frame. Where does Usain Bolt rank in your opinion?
No, certainly I agree with what Manavjit said. He's by far the greatest Olympian of all time. See, the fact is athletics, more countries take part in athletics. Swimming is still sadly an elite sport. I mean, how many swimmers do you get from Africa? How many swimmers, very few, do you get from South America, except those who've gone to study in American universities. So there's not that global competition. Great tribute to Phelps and people like that. But he's by far the greatest Olympian of all time, because to have sustained it for so long, you know, in the toughest, in 10 seconds, less than 10 seconds, you have to finish your race. So full credit to Usain Bolt. And as I said, he brought joy into athletics. You know, the dramatic gesticulations. So he's brought a new dimension to athletics. But I'll still stick by my original, what I said on your show about a month ago, that the all-time greatest, I still stick to Muhammad Ali and Roger Federer. Because Roger Federer did it on all courts. I think Usain Bolt is almost there. If I had to choose three, I choose these three. Muhammad Ali, Roger Federer and Usain Bolt. But if it is just two, Muhammad Ali and Roger Federer.
Yes, it is a difficult one to pick, Mr. Rajaraman. But as Novi Kapadia was pointing out, beyond the medals, beyond the titles, one great victory of Usain Bolt was the amount of joy he brought to a sport, and the fact that he did it towards the second half of his career in times which were the toughest for the sport. It's something IAAF chief Lord Sebastian Coe himself pointed out before the World Championships, that Usain Bolt, his legend in the sport goes beyond the numbers. It is about how he sustained the sport in its toughest times.
I think it's very beautifully put, Yash, full credit to you, because he takes less than 10 seconds. And how often do we see Usain Bolt run on a television set? Maybe twice or thrice a year. But all of us sit up through the night to watch him. Neymar plays every other week. You've got Ronaldo playing every week. You've got Federer playing nearly every Grand Slam. He's been kind of ingrained in our minds. But Usain Bolt runs 10 seconds once in a year or twice in a year, and then gets to the collective psyche of all of us. Drives us crazy. I think he's legend. He's the greatest simply because of the little time in which he makes the most impact. I think it is very, very important for all of us to realize that he touches so many more lives than possibly Roger Federer has. And talking of Muhammad Ali was the most recognized face at one point of time in the world when television was not so big. But this man takes less than 10 seconds to go straight into our hearts.
Yes, he takes less than 10 seconds. He's left an impression which will last at least 10 generations. Gentlemen, Mr. Rajaraman, Manavjit Sandhu, Novi Kapadia, I will thank all of you gentlemen for what has been a delightful conversation, reliving a delightful career that was Usain Bolt. We might not have seen the best of Usain Bolt in his final individual race. Let's not say goodbye altogether right now. He still has the 4x100 meter relay which he will run on Saturday night. That will be the final race of a glittering career.